So welcome to this edition of Ken Mogi's Street Brain Radio. Today I'm going to talk about the cryptocurrency, NFT, blockchain, Web3, DAO, decentralized autonomous organizations. These really wonderful, stimulating, intellectually profound issues. When Satoshi Nakamoto wrote a white paper about Bitcoin, it changed the world, and it was a really wonderful job. I was fascinated by it, and for some time I was convinced that Satoshi Nakamoto should get the Nobel Prize for economics or something. And my friends who were with me at that time will vividly remember I was praising Satoshi Nakamoto, and who is an anonymous guy. It's a Japanese name, and Satoshi actually has interesting connotations because it's the name of the protagonist in the Pokemon franchise. So the name Satoshi is something familiar for typical Japanese, and it is also associated with Pokemon. And well, you never know, maybe it does have something to do with Pokemon. I don't know. Anyway, so at the time I thought really highly of Satoshi Nakamoto's achievement, but time passed and I'm not so sure anymore. I'm saying that I am thinking poorly of Bitcoin and its related technologies, blockchain and so on. It's just that probably I didn't think through the implications of the blockchain technology enough at the time, and I think many people actually didn't think about the cryptocurrencies in depth either. I mean, so the juries are still out. We still don't know whether the blockchain, cryptocurrency, NFT, Web3, all these wonderful smart contracts, smart property, all these things would be beneficial for human civilization, and what conditions actually we need for them to be of good service to the human society in general. And to be honest, I don't think Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever that might be, would not have thought about the whole implications of the blockchain technology. It is not possible that it was artificial intelligence, large language models like chatbot. It would be possible. I mean, nowadays people say, hey, this might have been written with help from a human being, maybe by a large language model. It is entirely possible now. But I think the Bitcoin paper was probably written by a human being in flesh, like you and me, and so but it's quite interesting to speculate who Satoshi Nakamoto was. And there are many conspiracy theories, including one that the individual in question is now deeply freezed. I forgot the exact name for that, but there's a service, medical service, which freezes a human body in the optimum condition so that if medicine makes advances in the future, they could be brought back to life and operated on, and cured of disease or put any potential aging conditions so that they can enjoy longevity. Well, that's one conspiracy theory. So this conspiracy theory states that actually there was a transaction from Satoshi Nakamoto to that individual, and that individual is in hibernation, and that individual is actually Satoshi Nakamoto, and a vast amount of cryptocurrencies, bitcoins, is preserved in the name of Satoshi Nakamoto, so that that individual, when he is awakened from hibernation, would be able to use that money to have his body operated on. Well, that's one of the fascinating conspiracy theories surrounding Bitcoin. and that shows how much interest a cryptocurrency platform has, succeeded to gather around. So it has been a revolution. I know I'm in the former Kyoto Imperial Palace site, Kyoto Gosho, and there are not so many people. It's quite interesting to walk in this venerable ancient site and to talk about cryptocurrencies and so on. I'm walking to the Kyoto University of Fine Arts, Kyoto Geisha Daigaku, so I think it will probably take about 15 minutes. Actually, I am rather late in schedule, so I might actually have to hurry. So I might actually, make small dashes and runs in order to catch up with the schedule. But anyway, the reason why I don't think that Satoshi Nakamoto thought it through when he wrote that Bitcoin paper. It was that, all the side effects and malicious, malicious events the whole idea would incur in human society. To be fair, if you look at the cryptocurrency market right now, you can't really say that it's something robust, it's something beneficial. And, although it is favored by people who do not like central control, government, financial systems, I think it's fair to say that the fiat money, like dollar, euro, yen, still here, the pound, and people might criticize the way central banks handle the financial market. I think fiat money are probably better than cryptocurrencies at present in sustaining people's transaction and the economic system in general. So the revolution that Satoshi Nakamoto dreamed probably didn't happen, and probably it's never going to happen. And the cryptocurrency market has become an arena for speculations, and where it's like the Wild West, and where people with various motivations, some of them dubious, gather around, try to make money and consume a lot of energy. That's another issue. I feel that because of the evil side effects of cryptocurrencies have become so apparent, people have stopped paying attention to them. At least people around me. We were kind of enthusiastic about cryptocurrencies, back then. I was really interested in cryptocurrencies before the wider audience came along. I mean, before the mainstream media took notice of it, I was very interested in cryptocurrencies. I didn't invest in it. I didn't mine them, but I was very interested. But now I think the time has passed, and although the cryptocurrencies are here, I think it's fair to say that the main focus of attention has shifted to generative artificial intelligences. I have some friends, really great standing, and they have gone to Davos this year, and they say that the focus of Davos discussions have shifted entirely to generative artificial intelligence. And last year, they say it was all about Web3 and DAO and so on. So the shift has occurred, and I don't know if the social energy, the concentration of intelligence and capital would ever return to cryptocurrencies. Probably the bubble has come and busted. I don't know. But I know there are some people who still hope that they can break it off, and cryptocurrencies and blockchains and so on would become mainstream technology. Well, as I said, the juries are still out, and we don't know. We are yet to see. But let's see. So the whole idea of blockchain is based on the idea that you have a distributed ledger. Right? I mean, if you have a bank account, it is the ledger of your transactions is held by the bank, and depending on how much money you have in the bank, it's there, and you trust the bank. And nowadays, people don't have goals or any other materials of value, so it's just digital information on the bank ledger system. And it's, if you think about it, it's kind of terrifying that your whole wealth is nothing but a bits, collection of bits on the bank ledger. But there is this trusted system, and since it's a fiat money, well, you cannot. There's no gold standard anymore, so it's just fiat money. So it's make-believe. Yen, dollar, euro, pound, you name it. It's just make-believe. However, the value of the fiat money is vouchsafed by the power that we, the U.S. government, for example. So the U.S. government has invested on infrastructure, military spending, and governing bodies and so on. So that would provide the stability of society. That would provide the infrastructure of society so that people can go about the business of both private and public, of providing service, producing goods, teaching, learning, making programs like this. And so, when exchange of money does happen, we do that through fiat money. Now, the criticism has been that, well, the banking system, especially the international banking system, charge, enormous amount of money for bank transfers. And that is a tenable, criticism of the banking system. However, time has moved on, and nowadays there are many, digital money system, and you can actually send money quite easily. And these ratios do not depend on blockchain. So the rationale for blockchains, that traditional rationale for blockchains, if we can call anything that is only 15 years old tradition, it has been that it provides a decentralized ledger system so that every transaction is transparent, and it's fail-proof, and you can't, for example, if the central, in the case of central government or private banks, if its ledgers are broken for some reason or another, then you can't actually restore that. But with blockchain technology, you can. So that has been the, one of the strong, powerful arguments in favor of blockchain technology. But I think that's kind of moot. It's not really relevant nowadays. I mean, there have been many alternative ledger systems. So I don't think, well, theoretically, on the conceptual level, there's advantage of the blockchain still. But in terms of providing ledgers, I don't think there's any crisp and clear rationale for blockchain. And the cost of maintaining the blockchain is high, as you know. And people, of course, have improved the system by shifting from the proof of work paradigm to proof of stake paradigm, so that less energy would be consumed. But still, it is a, time and resource consuming process. And, if you think about it, there's something counterintuitive about the whole premise of blockchain being used as the ledger system, because let's face it, let's take anything in your house. I mean, you might have goods, chairs, tables, and paintings, and so on. And you wouldn't have a ledger for that. You don't have the records for everything that you have in your house, do you? I mean, so but the fact that you own them physically is, evidence enough that you are the owner of these things. In many legal systems, including those of Japan, there are articles, there are rules, which presumes that once you are in a position of something, the technical terminology changes from country to country, jurisdiction to jurisdiction. But if you are in physical possession of something, you are presumed to be the owner of that, unless proved otherwise. So that, I think, is robust enough basis for a ledger system. And, the same goes for banking ledgers. I mean, if you have an account in your bank and you have a certain amount, then that would be just sufficient. I mean, you don't have to go blockchain to guarantee that your bank, your money in the bank would be safe. Blockchain is like allowing a constant attack on the ledger system, right? And answering with a constant defense system. Of course, it's sometimes great. The fiasco exhibited by Bing Chat was unfortunate, and some people criticized that move by Microsoft for insufficient employment of the red team versus blue team training strategy, where people are divided into red team and blue teams, and red teams attack the system and blue team try to defend it, and through that process you can make the system robust. That is great. But if you do that systematically on a constant basis, like in blockchains, it's kind of, well, for the lack of better words, stupid, isn't it? I mean, the blockchain technology is fundamentally stupid in that it's based on the idea of a constant attack and defense on the ledger recordings. And I think that's probably the single fundamentally wrong point about the blockchain technology. Of course, you can argue that realistically, theoretically, you can't always assume that a stable ledger would be safe. I mean, if you do have goods in your house, it may be stolen someday, and it may be destroyed by fire or earthquake, and so it'll be great to have a permanent, distributed ledger system. But the need for that is only theoretical, and the whole premise of the blockchain technology is probably, it's an overkill, over-the-top solution. So that's probably one fundamental criticism of the blockchain technology. And the other, fundamental flaw of the Bitcoin idea is that the ledgers, the tokens on the ledger system is considered to be money. I mean, this was a winner in terms of in recruiting people to the blockchain platform. If you didn't say it was a Bitcoin, and if you didn't provide this shiny golden coin image with that, probably people wouldn't have noticed them, because people are greedy. People are served by self-interest, and if you just said that, well, it's a blockchain token, well, you wouldn't have gathered such an enthusiastic crowd of technologists and so on, because you said it's Bitcoin, and you can probably make a lot of money with that by investing in the blockchain technology. People took notice, and they actually put a lot of computing resources into that. So the blockchain was great success because of this Bitcoin metaphor, and that's great. I mean, that was probably the genius of Satoshi Nakamoto. However, from theoretical and practical point of view, the identification of tokens on the blockchain with money is dubious. I mean, and the question is whether it's a wise assumption or not. In the case of fiat money, I mean, if you have money in your bank account, that can be regarded as money, of course, because if you have, in your bank account, $1 million, that is $1 million, right? I mean, so the digital record is $1 million. However, if you just, play with your simulation on your computer and you can simulate blockchain and say that, hey, I have this simulation, wonderful simulation in my laptop, and I have 10 Ken coin units. Ken is my name, as you remember. I have 10 Ken coin units, and I did say, which are equivalent to $1,000. You would consider me a madman, right? Yeah, I would be mad actually to assume that, to have the hubris to think that the 10 simulated Ken coins is equivalent to something in terms of US dollar, fiat money. But that is exactly what's happening with cryptocurrencies. I mean, I'm not just talking about Bitcoin. As you know, there are many different altcoins, and the problem with cryptocurrencies is that there is no objective way to determine which Bitcoin is actually, which cryptocurrency is actually better than the others. I mean, everything is equivalent. Ethereum, Dogecoin, Bitcoin, you name it, all of them are kind of simulations on the social level, on the blockchain. So there's no external reason why a certain cryptocurrency should be considered more important or more valuable than the others. That is a very serious flaw in the whole cryptocurrency market, and people make a lot of excuses, and people make endorsements, and people like Elon Musk. By the way, I'm at the Demachianagi station, and I'm running because that traffic signal is changing. I'm embodied man. I'm an embodied agent, unlike the Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin is actually embodied. It's because it's embodied in computers all over the world, consuming a lot of energy. Anyway, so if you have, consider that you have tens of thousands of cryptocurrencies, and there is no objective except for popularities based on reputation and public relations maneuvers and so on. That would tell you which cryptocurrency is important. Of course, people discuss about the different algorithms and different people, different community that is involved in the maintenance of each cryptocurrency. But that is also only relative. I mean, there is no absolute measure against which you can measure the quality of a cryptocurrency. And, so it's just, public relations stand in the Wild West, so to speak. Of course, you can say that with fiat money too. But, as I said, fiat monies are guaranteed by the central government, which is, correlated with many infrastructures, including the military, roads and railways, and the central government is, responsible for that. So the whole cryptocurrency bonanza seems to have been based on a kind of a free lunch scheme, if you like, or Ponzi scheme, as many people would have liked to call it. It's a free ride because the blockchain community doesn't provide any social infrastructure. They just assume that they can kind of take hold of some of the resources that is already present in society by carrying out this simulation of tokens on the blockchain on a global basis. And for some time, many people were taken by the idea. I was taken by the idea, although I didn't invest in cryptocurrencies ever, because that was such a fascinating idea. But as time went by, I think many people have been disillusioned. And then came the NFT. Now, this is another interesting aspect of blockchain technology. So NFT came along, and artworks were sold for incredibly high prices. But if you look at the news carefully, these were also publicity stunts by those people who had vested interest in cryptocurrencies, because yes, works by people were British artists, I think, was sold for the first 6,000 first blah blah days, right? I mean, it sold for the Christie's for really a large amount of money. But if you look at the people who bought these NFT works, I mean, they would be people in the same community as the blockchain. So I'm not saying it's money laundering. It's just a public relations stunt. And it didn't really grow, did it? I mean, if there was an authentic value in the NFT market, by now we would have seen a mushrooming collection of artworks associated with NFT. But it has shrinked, and the bubble has been burst. And I have seen interesting, where I'm kind of lost in my Kyoto walk. There's been an interesting tweet in which a gentleman, I think a respectable gentleman, tweeted that he has muted all NFT-related tweets, which is amusing. I mean, I feel the same. I sometimes, there are times when there are too many NFT-related tweets, uninvited, mentioning my account, and probably they are picking up random accounts with sufficiently large followers, and and they make no sense to me. So I don't mind these tweets because it's enjoyable, and I get to see the NFT-related digital artworks, and which I think always is interesting. But at the end of the day, when you have DALL-E 2 and Stable Diffusion and all these generative AIs generating tons of digital artworks, I mean, it's for free. I mean, you can't really say that even with works like People, the work by People was astonishing at the time, because it evidently took so many days to generate these fantastic images, and People is a talented artist. There's no doubt about that. But the matter of the fact is that now you can generate these images without any cost at all using generative AI. So, the passage of time from the launch of NFT artworks by those people with vested interests and until the arrival of generative AIs can be regarded almost as a comic stunt, because people say, hey, we can now sell JPEG files for tens of thousands of dollars using this new idea, NFT, and then comes generative AIs and people say, hey, wait. Oh, okay. So I can make a lot of JPEG files using these generative AIs and attach them to NFT, and I will be a billionaire. Of course, you want to be a billionaire because people are not that stupid. So this, so the climate of surrounding artificial intelligence systems is just incredible. I mean, the climate change. Wow, I'm not talking about global climate change. I'm here talking about climate change surrounding artificial intelligence systems. I mean, I think it's fair to say that people don't believe in NFT anymore. I mean, it's a joke, isn't it? I mean, at one time, it looked like a venerable experiment, but not anymore. And when you think about it, I'm very much into contemporary art, actually, and I think the idea that someone had originally, of connecting JPEG files, well, not only JPEG, but the other file format as well. Anyway, with which you can download, anybody can download with NFT, so that the owner of the NFT can claim the ownership for that, has been brilliant. I think it has been a brilliant contemporary artistic stunt. But in art, repetition leads to a rapid dwindling of values. For example, if Pablo Picasso came up with this idea of cubism, people were surprised and, hey, this is great, and because there was such an originality in that. But if tens of thousands of people repeat the cubism style, then it's not valuable anymore. And in the fine art market, of course, Pablo Picasso would be always honored with merit of introducing the idea of cubism in any substantial way to the world of fine art, and his works will be always valued. But with the case of NFT, the idea of connecting NFT with the ownership of a JPEG file was novel at the time. It was a great novelty value. But if you repeat it, if a random people from the street repeat it all the time, many times over, then it's not fun anymore. It's just rubbish. NFT is now rubbish, and it's almost comical. I mean, and it's so comical because in many cases the money paid for the supposed NFT files came from money earned through operations in blockchain technologies, cryptocurrencies. It's as if the fake money was exchanged for another fake money. So there was no real economic damage. So it's also comical. I mean, so I've been critical about NFT and cryptocurrencies, and I hope many listeners would agree with me. If you don't, you can leave a comment in the comment section. But at the same time, I do feel that there's something interesting about the whole idea of Web3 and DAO and so on. And I want to remain fair to that. My great friend Joe Ito is a proponent of the Web3 idea, and Joe makes really interesting arguments. Joe said about a year ago, I think, that it's like the Wild West, and people need to be really careful about how to go from here. And I agree with that. Of course, blockchain technology is interesting. It's just that the way it has been employed in terms of cryptocurrencies and NFT artworks has been, so full of people's desire to get a strike rich overnight, and it has not been healthy. So there should be a more healthier ways to employ blockchain technologies, and I believe there is a future in blockchain technology in that aspect. And for example, I am interested in collective intelligence and how people can be collectively intelligent and collectively creative. I think that's one area where blockchain technology could be of use. So applications like the Discord bulletin board, which by the way is used very heavily by people in the NFT cryptocurrency community. I am just taking a moment to see where I should go. I am at a crossroads and I'm not quite sure where I should be going, but maybe this way. Yeah, Discord is a great example of potential use to the collective intelligence supporting technology. Also, Slack is great, and Slack was purchased, I think, by Salesforce, and it generated market value. And these are, these has nothing to do with NFT or cryptocurrencies. They, I think, are healthy examples of how you can use, network technologies to enhance people's collaboration. And if you apply blockchain technology in a clever way to these domains, I think there's some brilliant feature in it. And also, I'm kind of in favor of Ethereum community because they have provided many interesting innovations about smart contract and smart properties and so on, so that you can actually coordinate a whole human organization without necessarily depending on traditional ways of organizing companies and so on. So yes, there are many interesting applications, and the blockchain technology is only 15 or 16 years old at present. So there is still a lot of growth to make, and probably, if you like the metaphor, the cryptocurrency and NFTs have been like babies tumbling on the floor. I mean, when a baby tries to walk on his or her own feet, he or she would stumble many times because he doesn't know how to walk yet. For me, cryptocurrencies and NFTs are like that. It has been fueled by people's greed to make money quick, but as I have been discussing, I think there's no substance in it anymore. So probably we are going to stay with the fiat money. Central banks might create their own digital currencies, but that of course is, guaranteed by the whole infrastructure that each central government is building. And of course, there are some evil effects of the nation state, as is evident from the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So I'm not saying that nation states are perfect, but I don't think anarchism is a better choice than nation state. I mean, probably anarchism can be as evil or more evil than nation state. So, so we are still in the early days of blockchain technology-based society. So we really need to think hard, and we really need to resort to the better angels in our soul, not based on greed, not based on speculations, but based on altruism. I'm not talking of effective altruism. It's a dirty word, isn't it? I mean, so when something appears like the YouTube blockchain, I mean, because humans are served by self-interest, more or less, I am served by self-interest, I think, myself. But, because of that, we tend to make mistakes. So, of course, we are probably sometimes stupid when, accessing blockchain technologies, and we don't know how to deal with it yet. But, probably in a few decades, we would be there. I would possibly be making use of these technologies. And the same has happened with internet, hasn't it? I mean, when the internet came along in the 90s, people were so hopeful. This is it. This is a way we can exchange ideas and information freely. And, we can probably build better democracy with that. All this enlightenment would come with the internet and blah, blah, blah. But what actually happened was the spread of fake news and echo chambers, and you know that. So we have been equally optimistic about the internet, but we're equally disappointed. And the same thing, I think, is happening with blockchain technology. Some of us have been optimistic about blockchain technology. But as you know, disappointments and tears with cryptocurrencies and NFT. Well, you never know. I mean, they might come back with some new versions, much improved versions. You never know. And the Web3 or DAO ideas, they are so small in scale that we cannot really tell whether they would be beneficial to human society in general. I mean, it's still too early to tell. It's still early to call. So that's where we are. And another thing is that, blockchain can be associated with altruism, which is important. In a way, the blockchain technology, the proof of work idea, was a kind of altruism because you have a distributed ledger system and you provide your computational resources to maintain the validity of the ledger system, and as a reward you get Bitcoin, and that was called mining. So the mining of cryptocurrencies was a kind of altruism. So there was some good aspect of it, but as I said, it kind of backfired and people proved to be so greedy, and there were too many cryptocurrencies, and so I don't think Satoshi Nakamoto thought through all these side effects, and we were in despair with some tears, I think, but there might be some rainbow in the tears. So, I mean, this idea of mutual altruism, computational altruism, if you like, can be implemented probably in the future if you really think hard and long enough, and if you come up with a better arrangement of the blockchain technology. So I'm probably getting closer to the Kyoto University of the Arts. So it has been really interesting to talk to you like this about blockchains, bitcoins, cryptocurrencies, and NFTs. I have been critical of some aspects of the cryptocurrencies and NFTs, but I, as I said, I would like to stay fair. I mean, it's fair to say that juries are still out, and I'm not saying that we should outlaw these technologies. Once a technology is invented, it can never be gone. I mean, so the blockchain technology is here to stay, and cryptocurrencies are probably here to stay, although they wouldn't probably take a central position in a financial system as was once presumed by some people. So we're living in a quite interesting era because the equation would be changed if you incorporate the generative artificial intelligence systems like is happening with NFT. If you take generative artificial intelligence systems into the equation, of course things change about NFT. The same can happen with cryptocurrencies. So there might be some clever ways to coordinate and revamp the whole thing. And when that happens, people would yet see a second, third version of the cryptocurrency ecosystem. Now this is quite interesting. I just came to the Philosophers Walk. This is a famous walk taken by Kitaro Nishida, a famous philosopher from Kyoto University. So it's fitting that while we're talking about the marvels of technology, I have come to the Philosophers Walk. It's fitting probably. Anyway, where was I? I think I need to close this session in a few minutes. I believe in human brain. I mean, human brains are wonderful, and in the whole computational space involving cryptocurrencies and blockchains and NFTs and so on, probably have explored only a tiny bit of it, of the phase space. So we are yet to see the whole spectrum of possibilities and risks maybe of the blockchain technology. So it'll be great to carry on these conversations. And what I would say might be totally different in a few months. We are living in an era where a week can mean years in the traditional sense. Elysia Yudokovsky mentioned that the week after Valentine's Day this year seems like years in terms of generative AIs, especially large language models like Bing ChatGPT. And so I probably need to revisit this theme in my street brain radio format or other formats in a few months, and then I'll be probably a different person. So I need to sum up now. So blockchains are where the dreams are made of, and dreams would be born. But at present, we don't know what kind of dreams we should be dreaming with blockchain. And some people say it'll be a nightmare, but I think it is still an open question how we can make use of this really interesting technology. We should probably stay away from outright greed, and we should be a good person, and we should probably be friendly to each other so that we can work together to build a friendly blockchain, like the friendly AI. And when that happens, probably we'll be better persons encountering better angels. So with that thought, I close my street brain radio, and actually I have arrived at the Kyoto University of the Arts, and precisely great timing. So see you around.